Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Oktavia, with my beloved partner Rahma Rizki I and Fela Disma. Today, we are going to discuss about reader response criticism on the Telltale Heart story by Edgar Allan Poe. The aim of this discussion is to prove that every reader has their own perspective, or we call it as schemata. So, every reader gives different response even though the questions are same. We have been interviewed 5 readers by giving some questions that related to the Telltale Heart short story to get the result of this research.
Before we go into the main discussion, I would like to explain you what reader response theory is. According to Oxford, reader response theory is a view of literary interpretation that associated with the American critic Stanley Fisk. It holds that meaning does not reside in text but in the reader's mind. So, reader response theory is a part of literary theory that focuses on the reader or the audience and their experience of literary work. Contrast to other theories that focus attention primarily on the other called autobiographical theory, theory that focus on the moral value called moral criticism, and theory that focus on the text itself called new criticism. Reader response theory gives more attention to the reader's role in creating the meaning and experiences of a literary work. Reader response theory began in the 1960s and 1970s, particularly in the US and Germany, and wrote by Norman Holland, Stanley Fisk, Wolfgang Eisen, Hans Roger, Roland Barthes, and others. I. Richard was important predecessor of this theory. In 1929, he analyzed the group of Cambridge undergraduate misreading. In 1938, Louis Johnson followed, who argued that it is important for the teacher to avoid imposing any preconceived ideas about the proper way to react to any work. In 1961, C.S. Lewis does an experiment that reader response theory recognized the reader as an active agent who imparts real existence to the work and completes its meaning through interpretation. Most literary works are not completed or fragmented. They are only chunk. The readers have important role to filling the gap between one chunk to other chunk. When the readers read the text, they are not receiving the meaning, but they are who giving the meaning in the text. Reader response theory believes that the reader who activated the text, who concretized the text, and who gave meaning to the text. So if there is no reader, a text just will be a piece of paper. There will be no meaning or meaningless.
What is the Telltale Heart? Was published in 1842. The Telltale Heart is a story by American writer Edgar Allan Poe. This story is often known as a classic work from Gothic fiction story, and one of the most popular Poe short stories. The Telltale Heart is used first-person point of view with a named narrator. A nameless person explains that he is and was extremely nervous, but is not and was not insane. Rather, the narrator has a disease which makes all his senses, especially his hearing, is very sensitive. To prove that he isn't insane, the narrator shares an event from his past. He lived with an old man. He loves the old man and has nothing against him, except his horrible eye, which look like the eyes of the future. The narrator hates the eye of the old man and decides to kill the old man to be free of it. And then the narrator goes to the old man's rooms every night for 7 days. Each night, the narrator opens the man's door and puts it in a lantern. After the lantern, the narrator put his head through the doorway, extremely slowly. and then opens the lantern so a tiny beam of light shines on the old man's eyes. Each night, the old man doesn't open his eye, so the narrators feel that he can't kill him.
On the eighth night, the old man hears the narrator and wakes up. The narrator hangs out there for a long time. Then, with a scream, he plunks into the totally dark room, opening the lanterns and shining light on the old man's eyes. The narrator tracks the old man, who has only screamed once, of the bed and then pulls the bed on top of the man. When the narrator hears the man's heart stop beating, he removes the bed and checks to make sure the old man is dead, which he is. So the narrator crushes him and hides his remains under the floor. A neighbor had heard a scream and called the police. Then 3 policemen come. The narrator says that he screamed while sleeping and claimed that the old man is out of town. After convincing the cops nothing bad is going down, the narrator brings them into the old man's bed and they sit also have a chit-chat. While they are all shooting the breeze, the narrator starts hearing a terrible ticking noise, which gets louder and louder, until the narrator freaks out and confesses, stating that the sound is coming from the old man's heart. And then the man admits that he is killed the old man and point on the old man's body. And now we are going to the next part, is discussion part, and we will show you a video of the text of the short story by Edgar Allan Poe. And in this part, we are going to discuss the data that we will have got by interviewing 5 people related to the Telltale Heart short story. But before we go on to the main part, I will explain what schemata is. Schemata is background knowledge. The schemata is the reader's background knowledge that influenced by the reader's education, the reader's circle, the reader's childhood, and what the readers read every day. According to Peck and Freeman, schemata are formed through experience during developmental stages of life. And now, we will discuss the data that we got by interviewing 5 people. We asked their response about the Telltale Heart short story by Edgar Allan, and the method is asking them some questions, and the questions are: first, what is point of view that used in this story? And the second is, what do you feel after reading the stories, and explain how do you feel. Question number 3 is, can you tell about the theme of the story? And the fourth question is, what is the main conflict in the story and how is the story end? The question number 5 is, what is your favorite part in the story? And the next question is, what moral value did you get after reading the story? Also, the last question is, do you recommend this story to the other people? The first responders answered for the first question is that the point of view of the story is using the first point of view because the other is using I as pronoun. For question number 2, the responders' answer is, when I read the story, I was curious with the ending and the plot. For the third question, the responders' answer is, I think the theme of the story is social, especially mental illnesses. For the fourth question, the responders' answer is, the main conflict in this story is actually the main character that the I is afraid of the old man's eyes, and he wants to kill him so that he won't be afraid of his eyes anymore. For the fifth question, the responder's answer is, my favorite part in this story is the I thought that he was haunted by the old man's heartbeat. The responder's answer for the question number 6 is, I think the moral value of this story is we should think before we do something. For the last question, the responder's answer is, I will recommend this story to my friends at school because the story is quite interesting. And we will move on to the second responder. For question number 1, the responder answered that the point of view in this story is using the first person point of view because the author is using I as the main character. For question number 2, the responder's answer is, I was curious about the plot and happy when the I admit that he killed the old man. And for question number 3, the responder's answer is, I think the theme of this story is guilt and madness. For question number 4, the responder's answer is, when the I was trying to kill the old man and the process of murdering is the main conflict of the story. For question number 5, the responder's answer is, part that I like is when the I heard the old man's heartbeat sounds, even though the old man was already died. For question number 6, the responder's answer is, imagination could make you become a different person, and it might be a dangerous thing. Is the moral value of this story. And for the last question, the responder's answer is, I would recommend this story to my closest friends that has the same hobby as mine.
Now we're going to the third responder. The third responder answered the question number 1 is, the narrator point of view is from the first point of view. And the second answer is, the story was enjoyable. And personally, because I love horror gothic story, the story was interesting because the conflict is from the first person disturbed mind. And the third answer is, I think the theme is about mind disturbing or mental illness. The fourth question answer is, the narrator described that the man or the first person in the story had an illness and killed an old man. He killed the old man because that he had the filter eyes. Then he hid the corpse of the old man under the floor. But he still heard the old man's heart beating. At the end of the story, the man revealed his guilty to the police. The fifth question answer is, my favorite part is when the man trying to kill the old man. The sixth question answer is the moral value. The responder said that the moral value from the story is tell us that everyone has experienced on guilt, and guilty makes strong decision for us to the next experience. And the last answer from the third responder is, yes, of course, because the story and the words were easy to understand. Now we are going to the fourth responder. The fourth responder answer number one question is, the point of view of this story was first person point of view because the using of word I as the main character. The second question, the fourth responder answer is, the story was made me scared, but it also made me curious. The narrator had such a sensitive of hearing. He said he could hear the sound from heaven and hell. How could he hear those sounds while actually he is still alive? I also curious about why the narrator could hear the old man's heart beating that already died. I thought those sounds that he heard was only from his own imagination and he was mentally ill. For the third question, the answer is, I think the theme is horror gothic because the writer of this story was Edgar Allan Poe, who known as the best writer for mystery, macabre, and gothic stories. For the fourth question, the answer is the main problem was from the narrator because he scared with the old man's eyes that looked like filter eye, and he felt that the old man always overshadowed him. The way he solved his scare was killed the old man horribly. He cut the old man's body into 3 parts and hid them under the floor. The fifth question, the answer is, honestly, I do not really like horror or gothic genre, but I thought I liked this one. The best part of this story was the way the narrator I killed the old man. The writer was made him as a clever murderer who does not leave any evidence in the house, so there was nobody would know that he killed the old man. For the sixth question, the answer is, we should not hide wickedness. I could know it in the end of the story. The narrator believed he won because he could kill the old man, so there was no more filter eyes would scare him. However, because of his guilty feeling, he started to hear the beating heart of the old man, louder, louder, and louder until he could not bear it anymore. Finally, he acknowledged what he did to the police. The message or the moral value from the story is, no matter how hard we try our bad act or our wickedness, our inner heart or our guilty sense will reveal it. And for the last question, the answer is yes, particularly for people who love gothic or horror genre, this story will be suitable for them.
The last discussion about the story by Edgar Allan Poe, The Telltale Heart, is from the last reader. The reader states that the moral value from the story is that the story tells us that everyone has experience on a guilt, and the guilty makes strong decision for your next experience. The narrator's point of view is from the first person. The narrator described that the man or the first person in the story had an illness and killed an old man. He killed the old man because the old man had the eye, looks like a vulture. Then he hides the corpse of the old man under the floor. But he still heard a heart beating from the old man. At the end of the story, the man revealed his guilty to the police. She or he thinks that the theme is about mind disturbing or mental illness. The story was enjoyable and personally because she or he loves horror gothic story. The story was interesting because the conflict is from the first person disturbed mind. She or he also recommended the story because the story and the words were easy to understand. She or his favorite part is when the man trying to kill the old man. For the conclusion, based on the data, we can conclude that every reader has different response even the question and the text are same. Reader response theory gives more attention to reader's role in creating the meaning and experience of a literary work. But schemata is also influenced by the reader's education, the reader's circle, the reader's childhood, and what the readers read every day. In addition, reading literary works are positive in many ways. We have some benefit from reading literary works. First, the readers enjoy and get pleasure feeling by reading literary works. Second, reading literary works gives the readers knowledge, not only hard knowledge but also soft knowledge, such as carrying a capability and respect the nature and etc. Last, the fact that literary works are mostly fragment is the primacy of literary works. So the reader not only receiving but also has a role by giving meaning and filling the gap between the chunks.